So between 19 and 22, I was auditioning. I was doing gigs here and there for like indie artists or little things. And I had gotten a couple of things. Like I did a couple of music videos, a couple of TV shows, but nothing like super big. And my goal was always to tour. Like that was my dream.
Really?
So it was, so it was probably a 3-year chunk of like, a lot of no's and like a couple of yeses.
And now that's with acting, that's with dancing, performing. How do you handle the no's and how do you push through them when our body naturally wants to tell us like, I don't know, maybe should I keep going? Like, how do you keep pushing past that?
So a lot of it I think has to do with my upbringing in the sense of training so much in dance. I trained from age 3 to 18 in a competition studio. I was dancing like 5 days a week. And you're competing, you're training, you're doing all this. People are going to be in this dance. You're not going to be in this dance. So I learned from a very young age, like through auditioning at dance competitions, from competing at dance competitions, you're not going to always get yeses. And my dance teacher was kind of crazy, but I will, like, because some of them are, not all of them, but some of them are. But she really taught us how to persevere. And same with my family. My family is a big proponent of that. To give a little backstory, my dad's a chef, and then my mom, my parents owned 2 restaurants, and so my mom ran the side the like business side, and my dad was the creative behind it. And growing up, my dad like was super smart in school, and when he was in, I think, high school age, he quit. He dropped out of high school to become a chef, and went through this training program. And this training program, it was like if you won your training program, you got to go to a Michelin star restaurant and train under this. And he was top of his class, top of his class, top of his class. And then when it came down to the competition aspect, he did top for the entree, top for the appetizer, and then the dessert, he got last place because he made a souffle and the souffle fell. I don't know. And
I've had a souffle.
You've had a souffle, so
They're
you know.
good.
And
they're better when they don't fall.
They're better when they don't fall, exactly. So he got 3rd place. And he was distraught. It was horrible. And he told us this story our whole life. And he's like, but if I didn't get 3rd place, I would have never met your mom. I would have never moved to America. I would have never had you guys. So sometimes your no's are your biggest yeses. And just knowing that kind of has always helped me. And knowing that not every job is for you. Like I can look at like Beyonce's tour. I know that's not going to be my job. I'm not that tall. I don't dance like that, But Lindsey Stirling, that's my job. They're both tours, but they're completely different tours. Yeah. So having a nice upbringing of knowing like no's are going to happen, yeses are going to happen, but then also being self-aware enough to know that like that's not your job, but this is your job. And it's not a question of if it's going to happen, it's a question of when it's going to happen.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah. I tell a lot of people that I don't look at it as from a victim's perspective as like, why is everything happening to me? It's more of like things happen for you and not to you. So this was supposed to happen this way. Agreed. And so when you start looking at it that way, it kind of helps a lot.
It helps, totally.
Yeah. So when you were younger, you said you started dancing at 3. What got you into dancing? Why did you love it so much?
So my mom was also a dancer growing up. So she was a dancer, and that's kind of how her and my dad met. She was a dancer, and he was a chef at a company. And so that's why I initially got put into it. But I also was that kid, like you can ask my entire family. I was like putting everyone, like my little siblings, I was like, you sit right there. And I was like putting on outfits and I was just like dancing in front of them. So I think it was always in me. Like I was never that kid that played with dolls. I was never that kid that had like all these stuffed animals or things like that. I was literally out in my backyard, like dancing and singing by myself. So I think it was always in me. I've had I'm a very woo-woo, like spiritual person. And I've had a couple of intuitives be like, oh, you were a dancer in your past life. And I'm like, I'm also a dancer in this life. I think it just has always been in me. But initially it's because my mom danced and saw that and then just put me into it. And I loved it. I think at age 10, I told my parents, I remember sitting them down. And I was like, Mom, Papa, I want to be a professional dancer and I want to move to LA. And they both were like, okay, let's figure it out. How do we want to get you there? So yeah, I kind of always knew.
Yeah. So you got the audition for Lindsey Stirling. You got the part. What was that first performance out there with her? What did that feel like?
It was it's crazy because looking back at it, there were a lot of, I don't want to say problems, but that first show, a lot of mistakes happened. But because it was my first show, first tour, I had no idea. I was just so like enthralled. I've never been so nervous. I was sweating so much, but it was the most exhilarating, exciting, fun thing I've ever done. And being in front of everyone was just addictive. Like that, I say your first tour is like, I don't do drugs, but if you did drugs, like, you know, when people say like, oh, that first time you do something, it's like, you're always chasing that.
Sure.
That's kind of how your first tour, your first show is. And it's electrifying. It's amazing. I can't describe it any other way as just like this burst of energy that you get, like, but without the like anxiety behind it. At least for me, because I really loved it. And that energy afterwards, just being like, we did that, like, and let's do it again and do it again and do it again. But looking back at it, like there was a prop that went up for Lindsey. She was supposed to go up and then come back down, and the hydraulics went up and it didn't come back down. Like there were like things like that, like mistakes that happened, but I was so in my own world, and us dancers were so in our like own world that kind of stuff didn't even affect us. So.
Yeah. And do you ever overthink at all when like you've trained for so long, you've rehearsed, you know exactly what the moves are. Once you get on that stage, especially the first time, are you ever like overthinking, being like, I hope I don't mess this up?
So luckily for shows like that, no, because there's so much rehearsal time. You get the like, it's more, you get more of that feeling in an audition because you're like, it matters right here, right now. For a tour, for a show, you have at least, for us, we had like 2 or 3 weeks, but sometimes it's only a week. But you get so much time, and it's like 8 to 10 hour days of running it over and over again. So at that point, it's really in your body, and that muscle memory is really there. So no, I don't feel like I overthink.
You're like, it's second nature.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. Now, after getting that audition, was your first performance with her straight into a tour? It wasn't even like a quick little stage. It was like a straight tour?
It was straight into a tour.
Where'd you guys go?
So it was a US tour, and it was 3 months long. So it was a big tour too. There's in touring, they call them like A markets, B markets, C markets. So it's bigger cities like a New York and LA versus like smaller cities. Like what would be a smaller city? I'm thinking of only big cities right now, but you know, like the tinier cities.
Sure.
And it was an A market. We were going to all these crazy venues. It was super big. I think we performed 60 shows. So it was a lot. Yeah. And I went from that to then we had like a month break off and then straight into another tour with completely different music, completely different choreo. So yeah, it was like, okay, let's see if you guys got it. And then let's just go right into it.
And were you already familiar with her work prior to even the audition?
So no, actually, I had one friend who had been a dancer for her previously. So the only reason I was familiar with her was because of her. But I hadn't listened to her music. I wasn't like a fan or anything like that.
Yeah. And what have you noticed? So from your own dance career and then now working with her, when someone's performing at that level, what's that work ethic look like? What's that preparation look like? When you're seeing this in real time, you're touring with her, what's that look like?
She is such an incredible artist. She is one of the highest work ethics I've ever seen. And I know a lot of dancers say that about the artists that they work for, but truly, she is amazing. She like comes up with all the ideas. She is the first one in, first one out practicing. Because she's not just dancing, she's not just playing violin, but she's doing all that. She also does aerial work now. So she's like training in that, training in dance, training in her music. She sometimes will sing, so she's training in singing. She's doing costumes. It's really inspiring to be around. And same with like the other dancers, between the dancers, the choreographer, her, everyone just works really hard and it makes you want to work harder.
That's awesome. That's really cool. She's kind of almost like reinventing herself each time to be like, okay, let's try this. Let's do aerial singing, all that stuff.
Exactly.
Wow,
So
that's
it's
really cool.
fun.
I also noticed you do some aerial work.
Yeah.
How did you get into that?
So it was actually through that show. I think the first 3 years on tour with her, I was just dancing. And then generally before another tour, she would do these little like production meetings. And I remember being in a production meeting and she's talking about like, oh, I kind of want to start introducing aerial, blah, blah, blah. And then I can't remember if it was her, if it was me, but someone said like, oh, would you want to try aerial? Or I was like, hey, if you ever want dancers, like I'd be interested. And that conversation started. And then from there, I was like, okay, let's try it. So me and then another dancer, we got to train for like 2 months in aerial. And then we implemented that into a show. And then every time from there, we just kind of kept training more and more and more. And I think it's super important for dancers to know, but also all artists to kind of be adaptable. And it's like, okay, if you're in a situation where you could learn something and it can level you up, go for it. And for me, I was like, I saw that as an opportunity. I'm like, okay, this is a skill that I can learn. Let's learn it. Let's bring it into the show. And then now I can have something I can take away forever.
Absolutely.
So
how long have you been doing it now?
I've been doing aerial now, I think for 4 years. So
4 years.
Yeah.
Wow. And how do you like it?
I love it. It's a lot. Okay, when you asked earlier, you're like, what is something that looks really easy, but it's actually really hard? That is something.
Yeah.
Because I remember seeing people doing aerial and I'm like, oh, that doesn't look that bad.
Yeah.
And you try it and it's not even the strength part that's hard. It's like it hurts your body. Like the bruises that you get,
Really?
You're bruised up all over. Oh yeah. I've had people be like, are we okay? Like, are we like, is someone messing with you? Are you in a domestic thing? It's like, no. You just get crazy bruises from it. The pain does go away, but that initial start when you're training, it's pretty rough.
It's still painful while you're performing it? You're like,
No.
You're getting into a pose, you're like, hope everyone likes it because this sucks.
No. So once it's kind of like that muscle memory thing. Once you do and you train a routine, you kind of forget about the pain, and that pain, your body gets used to it. It's always when you're rehearsing or you're trying a new move that you're like, I can't do this. I can't do this. I remember my first time, not the first show that we did, but the second one, we were learning a new move. We had a new instructor and a new coach, and she showed us this split move. And I literally was like, I can't do that. I was like, there's no way. She tries getting into it. I'm like, I can't do it. And she's like, I promise you, just move past the pain. Give it like 3 days. I promise you'll be able to do it. And I was like, literally I'd go home and I'm just like, there's no way. I hate this, blah, blah, blah. And then 3 days went by of training it. And then I did it. And she was like, see, I told you. I'm like, you're right. You just have to like move past that, you know?
Yeah.
So
now, 4 years of doing it, have you ever been in a performance where things weren't going as planned in the air? I feel like that can possibly happen, from time to time, but.
It has. So we have great riggers and that we trust a lot. So it's never been on their end. There was not during a show, but there was definitely one time during a rehearsal. It was just me. Like it was 100% my fault. I missed something and I fell from it. And that was really scary. I took total accountability for it, but like had to go to not because something happened, but had to go to the hospital just to like, for precaution and all that. So things do happen, and it was definitely a wake up call to be like, okay, you can't just rely on your muscle memory. You have to be on, because there have been times when whether you're dancing or you're doing aerial, that you're just kind of like going through the motions. And that was a wake up call for me to be like, no, stay present, be in it.
Oh, absolutely. And now, did you say that was during rehearsal or an actual performance?
During rehearsal.
Okay, rehearsal.
There was one time during an actual show, and she was up, and then me and another dancer, we had some fabric that we were kind of moving around, and the trick just didn't work. Nothing bad happened, but that was like a big moment that we were like, oh, that was a moment that could have happened. That it happens. They just doesn't follow through or go through. But that's the beauty of live performance,
I mean,
it's all real.